secondary men strung all the way across. It was tipped in the defense by Don Ellis, number 29. Here's another look. That's kind of what Halloran sees. Gets it past one linebacker, but Ellis is there to tip it away. And so that was uncatchable for Gieselman.
14-19 to play in the ball game. And some of the faithful starting to file out of here, figuring that Boston College has had their last chance.
It's difficult to believe that they would do that with this team.
Particularly with this team. Team that has been known for the great Storybook finishes. Kenny Oliver wide out. They're going to try and run it out of there right now and get it over the 5. They do. Ted Gaffney, the senior linebacker, pulls down the ball carrier on the play, Warren Williams. So Warren Williams, who has 73 yards unofficially here this afternoon. And now Boston College trailing it by 14 points with under 14 to play. We'll look at a 2nd down and 8 situation from about the 5-yard line, maybe the 6. Vinny Testaverde gives it to Highsmith. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. I think there was a song that used to have those lyrics. You remember that one, Kyle?
Sure you do.
Rick Nixon, Bill Thompson.
Not quite as old as you are, but I do remember.
Oh, say it isn't so.
Watch on the trap block here as number 61, Maurice Maddox, gets knocked back in his own backfield, and the trap did not work at all. As Bosa, number 97, got the penetration.
3rd down and 7. Ball on the 6. Vinny Testaverde going deep. And no flag. Neil Eiton on the far side, defending against Brett Harriman, a 180-pound, 5-pound sophomore. So Boston College will get another rip at it here early in the 4th quarter. Testaverde, incidentally, is 10 for 19, 179 yards. How about this end zone shot? Jeff Fiegels, who has kicked for 28, 30, and 39 in 3 tries. Kelvin Martin standing close to the 50-yard line. Wind at his back, about 20 miles an hour. Martin, and he calls for a fair catch. So Kelvin Martin surprisingly calling for the fair catch.
Pretty much had to, as Boston College went for the block. He had nobody back there to help him, so it was Kelvin Martin against 7 or 8 Miami Hurricanes. And in many cases, a coach will just tell the man to fair catch it, don't even try.
Boston College opting to rush instead of sending the man back to block for the receiver. 50-yard kick, 24-10 Miami. Miami 24, Boston College 10. One of these two teams goes over 500, the other under 500 after this one. BC 2-2, Miami 1-1. Halloran with Ken Bell back to block. Boy, he had something on that one, I'll tell you, as Scott Gieselman gets onto George Myra, and they're calling an incompleted pass. Well, he can put a little bit of zip on it when he has to, too, can he?
Certainly had to there, as Miami only rushed 4 men and had 7 back in coverage. And even as good as tight end as Boston College has in both Casparillo and Gieselman, they're not going to find a lot of open space with 7 people back there.
Fullington has come in the ball game, as has number 28 Kevin McCutcheon in the deep secondary. Sean Halloran. Gieselman was the man that it was supposed to go to, but he overshot him by a good 5 yards under pretty good coverage. Now Halloran 20 of 37 for 222 yards.
Still having a good day, but if he does have a weakness, it's that on the move he's not nearly as accurate a passer as he is when he's able to set up strong. And it's difficult to get everything out of a quarterback, but I'm sure that's something he knows and something that he continues to work on. Boston College that plays the 4th toughest schedule in college football. The defending Lambert Trophy winners. 2 times. 3rd down and 10. And trying to check it off and go to somebody that time. Derwin Jones with a lot of pressure on the passer. And it will go as an incompleted pass, and there are no flags thrown, I don't believe. But in any event, Boston College is going to have to give it up. Halloran is 1 for his last 11 throws. He has gone a little chilly here as the sun comes out. And the afternoon becomes a beauty here at Foxborough, Massachusetts. Steve Peach, averaging a little over 40 yards a kick, gets one with good hang time. And
catching it and hanging on for dear life was Perryman, but I don't believe they gave him the required distance to make a catch unencumbered. Let's find out.
No, and the distance was only about a 30-yard kick. He got good height. See if we can hear the call.
Jimmy Johnson talking to Mike Irvins moments ago. Yeah, what do we have here? We'll have to wait until we get it officially from the referee. And again, these officials doing another fine job here this afternoon. Here it is.
Interference with the opportunity to make a catch against the kicking team. First down.
And as you called it, Eddie, right there. We're going to take a break here at Foxborough. It's Miami 24, Boston College 10.
Once you start listening to it,
Foxborough, Mass. And it's 24-10 Miami. Sullivan Stadium, of course, named after the gentleman who owns the Patriots, Billy Sullivan, and who is an alumnus of Boston College back in the late 30s. Got
a pretty good crowd here today. In fact, many more than they expected. Of course, I guess when your television sets can't be turned on because the electricity is off, a lot of folks come out and watch live college sports.
Melvin Bratton is in the game now. I'm really surprised he hasn't played more. He is the back that is in the blocking back position now, number 5, as well as Warren Williams. And Bratton is really their all-purpose guy as the flag is thrown, and we've got a procedure called against Miami.
Well, I believe that was Dave Elecna, number 73, who raised his hand as one of the interior linemen. He can't do that.
Dead ball, illegal procedures, offense, first down.
7th penalty, Kyle, 65 yards. First and 15, ball at the 26-yard line. Melvin Bratton. Bill Romanowski tackling along with Gaffney, and Bratton is the young thespian on the Miami team. He's got an acting career in mind as we look over here and see Winston Moss getting a little attention. Army over Penn, 17-3 in the third quarter.
And Virginia Tech and Syracuse.
Split back, 2nd and 11. Cross-cutting is Warren Williams. And pulled down by Romanowski. Mike Gorecki looking over the pile.
You know, all these tailbacks are really one of the beneficiaries of the wide-open college game today, particularly in a pass-oriented offense. When you've got defense expecting pass so much, you're not having to play against 8 defenders at the line of scrimmage.
Miami 4 for 10 on third down conversions. We have 3rd and 11 unofficially. Ball on the 36. Intended for Bratton. Romanowski came over there with some very heavy feet, some deep breathing, I'm sure, and that was it for Melvin Bratton. Bratton 6'1", 2 1/4. He's a running back and a fullback. He can do it all, but he's not done much today as their main man with the ball has been Warren Williams, who's rushed for around 89. Kelvin Martin standing at his own 21. They put a lot of rush on, and he has no blocking help back. Fiegels now will get it away from about the 25. Wind at his back. Martin gives ground, comes to the near side. He can be electrifying as Kelvin Martin was finally pulled down by Bubba McDowell. So with 11:18 to play, Miami leading it 24-10. We shall return.
The Nevada Sports Schedule proudly presents the 900 Sports Phone, 900-410-5000. 24 hours a day of sports coverage, sports scores as they happen. The Las Vegas Line presented by Jim Feist and Gary Austin. Updated hourly direct from Las Vegas. Injuries, lineup changes, weather reports, and complimentary selections by the nation's leading handicappers, Jim Feist and Gary Austin. Call 1-900-410-5000 for the latest in sports.
Guy spends $50 or $60 tuning up his car himself. Then he comes in here and says,
it still doesn't run right.
I say, did you change the spark plug wires? If the insulation is shot, nothing will make your car run properly. That's why I put in new Autolite power seals. The insulation is thicker than ordinary wires to seal in the power. They're so tough, these Autolite power seals are guaranteed for as long as you own your car. So why not put in Autolite power seals? They're thicker. They seal in the power.
Eddie Doucette, Kyle Rote Jr. Old Glory tells us the wind is moving. Miami 24-10. They've been moving all afternoon. And that last kick by Fiegels, 46 yards with a 13-yard Kelvin Martin return. And that puts the ball on the 30-yard line for Boston College and the Golden Eagles.
And the Boston College defense continuing to give the offense a lot of time. Done much, much better here in the second half.
John Mahalik, Tracy Giles. They're playing without Stratford and Jimmy Bell. They're 1 and 2 running backs. They're down to their third unit man. And Giles on the give right up over the middle of the line. Gets 5, second down and 5. Ball at the 35-yard line, and the clock is ticking away. And Miami's defense trying to hang tight. Winston Moss, 92, has been taped up. 95, Kevin Fagan. Georgia Tech and Clemson, 14-3 in the third. Joe Giaquinto stretched out. Purdue now taking a bigger lead over Notre Dame. Halloran wants to throw and does. Giles at the 41. And knifing out to the 43-yard line. Selwyn Brown bringing him down.
Giles been watching Warren Williams break all those tackles for Miami, and he thought he'd get involved in that a little bit. Little injury to Selwyn Brown, number 32 for Miami.
Clock continues to roll, however, as Boston College trying to get it up and get back in this one. Martin and Giaquinto are the wideouts. Kelvin to the near side, Joey G to the far side. Tyrone Taylor. And Tyrone doesn't get much, if any. Dan Stubbs, 6'4", 238-pounder. He's from Red Bank, New Jersey. He thinks he's going to try out for the basketball team after this season. They got a new club down there at Miami. They're going to go back to college basketball. Of course, Jack Bicknell is not concerned about that now, not at all. He'd like to put some points of his own on the board right now. Big Sean Regent, the left tackle, and right along next to him is Scott Gieselman. They're strong to the left side. Second down, 10. Kelvin Martin. He has been ominously absent here this afternoon. They've done a good job of covering. Good pressure by Derwin Jones.
Well, there was some zone coverage here, and Martin was able to move to the inside, but he thought Darren Flutie, number 26, coming underneath, was going to catch the ball. Flutie thought it was coming all the way to Martin. He let it go, and there you see a little Alphonse and Gaston as both players in the same area. That ball was catchable.
21-40 now for Halloran. 230 yards unofficially. Third down and 10. Flutie far. Waddle near side receivers. And a sack. Dan Stubbs. Number 96 also there. And that is the man we talked about, Danny Stubbs. Fourth down situation. 4th and 18. Nothing that they can do but kick. And Peach, who has had a good afternoon kicking, takes the snap, and this time goes nowhere. High and short with a Boston College bounce. And it's corralled down inside the 40. But close to the 40-yard line.
Unofficially only a 24-yard kick.
Well, he had been doing a good job. Now it's up to Miami to control. 24-10.
Jeep Cherokee has some advantages you ought to look into, like superior cargo room and room for 5 with a choice of 2 or 4 doors and 4-wheel drive you can shift on the fly. But the most important advantage, Cherokee is all Jeep, inside and out.
How important an advertising medium is cable television? How sophisticated and selective are advertisers like these? Cable television is very important. In every city and town, the cable audience is an audience who has spent money to get cable programming, so they watch it with greater interest than the programming they watch for free.
Miami 24, Boston College 10 with 8:59 to play in the game. Miami with possession of the ball, call it the 40-yard line. Vinny Testaverde, he wanted to pitch back that time to Warren Williams, it looked like, and then just stumble with a football, so he'll lose a couple of yards. Vinny's not gained many yards rushing this year, but then again, that's not really his job. Big, tall guy. I think you have to take a hat off or two here, Kyle, to that Miami defense. They've been yielding 27.5 points a game in the previous two. They've held a strong offensive Boston College team here to 14. But Boston College has also blown some opportunities. Alonzo Highsmith and Darrell Oliver, the running backs out of the eye. That's Oliver moving up to a twin set. Brian Blades at the 45-yard line. And ripped pretty good there by Garrick McPherson. Well, if Boston College were to win a game here and go 3-2 at this schedule, at this point, this would be terrific.
And let's take a look inside at how they're handling Mike Ruth. There's a double team, a little Ruth sandwich. As for one of the few times, at least today, and a few times we've seen him, Ruth goes down on the turf.
He's getting tired now. 24-10, third down situation. On the third down conversions, they are 4 for 11. Vinny Testaverde, and he comes through, and this time he hits Irvin. Michael Irvin, who comes from a family with 16 children. And he was a teammate of kicker Greg Cox in high school from Lauderdale.
Yes, that's how he's figured out how to get some open space. But I tell you, he has really impressed me. With their losing Eddie Brown and Stanley Shakespeare last year, I've been really surprised they've had such good wide receiving.
He learned how to catch, Kyle, because when they passed out bread at the dinner table, they had to throw the rolls, and the guy that hung on was the guy that ate. 24-10 is the score of the football game. Miami, 7:49, and they have possession of the ball. Vinny T. And he gives it over to high-stepping Highsmith. And Alonzo, stopped by Romanowski, number 53, the 225-pound sophomore linebacker from Connecticut. Highsmith's dad is a football coach in Miami. And he has 52 yards rushing today, over 1,000 career, as we mentioned. Last year he had a terrific year before he was hurt in a Maryland game that we had on USA.
John O'Neill down for Miami.
A freshman, 259-pounder from Cooper City. And out of it right now, Alonzo, as you saw, with 52 yards. O'Neill being tended to by the training staff and the physician of the Miami Hurricanes. Next week at Pittsburgh, and it'll be South Carolina, and Kyle and I will be there. What's left of today is 7:33. And Jimmy Johnston, who went through a tough year last year, Kyle, in addition to a very rigorous beginning of his schedule, there was all kinds of undermining, from what I understand, from members of his staff. He's made some staff changes. He's looked, made a few different looks as far as the schemes are concerned, and he seems to be a much more positive guy this season.
Well, it's difficult to ever take away his enthusiasm. He's always been an extremely positive guy. He did so very well at Oklahoma State, but last year was playing, of his 12 teams, 8 of them had gone to bowls the previous year, so he did have a tough schedule. There you see our attendance a little over 31,000, and that is a big surprise to me. I can't believe Galbaugh and his troops can't get on the scoreboard.
Well, I can't believe against a Michigan team, unless they're a different club than they've been in the past. They've never been a high-scoring team, and against a Maryland team that is, number one, a prolific offensive team, and number two, a team that can be pretty sticky defensively. 17 points already. Michigan usually likes to play it close, but I think that Bo Schembechler this year is saying, hey, I've had enough of this the last 4 or 5 years. This year we're going to pound a few lumps. Cox just loosening it up a little bit in case they need his toe for a field goal.
So many changes now, even on the sidelines, with the nets that the kickers have to punt into and to place kick into, something that previous years they didn't have. For Bicknell, on the other side, a lot of pensive thoughts as he tries to get it all figured out.
And of course, some of the things I'm sure running through his mind as you go to the other side against the Miami club, and that's Big Danny Stubbs, who's had a good day, and McVay. I'm sure Bicknell is thinking, what would it have been like if he had had Troy Stratford or even Jim Bell, his #1 and #2 tailbacks that are both injured now. Bicknell, of course, has not had Stratford for 3 weeks. Bell was the big man last week, and he has had his shoulder separated today and will not be able to play.
I continue to have to be impressed by the inexperienced depth that Boston College continues to show, to be able to put people in there like the Tyrone Taylors and the Tracy Giles, and they're able to perform. But also, I'm sure he's thinking back about that last play in the first half. The interception was returned to 100 yards that had they been able to score from inside the 10, the score right now would be tied up. It wouldn't be a 14-point difference.
They're trying to get that helmet, I believe, of, yeah, they finally got it off of the injured man, and he is he's being examined very closely by their team physician.
Just hope it's a pinched nerve and nothing, no problems with the vertebrae or the spinal column.
Well, he's having a hard time walking right now.
This is what it looked like yesterday, actually, as many of the boats battered here on the seashore. Unfortunately, Hurricane Gloria not too good about giving us her itinerary.
Back today as they take the injured John O'Neill off the field now. They're trying to hold that neck in place, and he is a hurting young man. Trying to give him I'm sure they're going to put some kind of a brace on that right away.
Well, I'm sure we won't see him anymore today either.
On the give, Darrell Oliver slips outside, has some daylight. And the last man between him and 6 points was Carl Pelagata. Boy, a nifty bit of running right there by Darrell Oliver, the junior running back from Palatka, Florida, as he slipped off the block and out to the outside and showed some speed.
Got the first 4 or 5 yards courtesy of his offensive line, but then broke to daylight to the outside, using that sprinter speed to pick up some more.
Oliver and Highsmith are the running backs as Miami comes up to the line, and the clock now at 7:17, and Miami leading by 14. First down and 10. And pulled out from behind is Oliver. That time John Bosa, number 97. Mike Gorecki was there. Mike Ruth has been relatively quiet here this afternoon.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Mike Ruth, but anytime you talk to the coaches at Boston College, they speak very highly of John Bosa. And he's continued to get good penetration in the offensive backfield of Miami, and they're making tackle for a loss.
24-10. 6:45 in our game remaining here in Foxborough at Sullivan Stadium. Brian Blades in motion. Pitch back Oliver with blocks ahead. And 97 John Bosa puts him down right there at about the line of scrimmage. Big John. He is 265-pounder from Keene, New Hampshire. Georgia and South Carolina. Well, you'll see right here next week on USA. 20-14 in the third, Georgia. Certainly want to thank the cooperation we have received again this week from Reed Oslin, the SID here, Bill Flynn, the athletic director, Pitt leading West Virginia in the fourth. Don't forget, next week it'll be Pitt and South Carolina. Tom Farrell chasing Vinny Testaverde, and wide open in the end zone. Beating Carl Pelagata was the freshman Mike Irvin. And I mean, he's putting on the old turkey strut now. So Vinny T has got 6 more.
Boston College in full blitz there, leaving single coverage on the back, and Carl Pelagata, 49, is beaten by Irvin. Pelagata having to have his back to Testaverde because of the good pattern that Irvin ran, and really an absolute mismatch there anytime you give a quarterback like Testaverde that much time.
So Vinny Testaverde showing what the scouts have said all along when they said 3 years ago that the best guy that you have playing quarterback might be the one that isn't playing at all. Vinny T. And Greg Cox adds another point. So right now, Miami in control of this one with time running out and 5:51 to play. It's Miami 31, the BC Eagles 10 from Foxborough. Again, we want to remind you to join USA Sports tonight and tomorrow at 8 Eastern for live coverage of the semifinals and finals of the Transamerica Open. You'll see him right here on USA Live tonight and tomorrow. Barry McKay is out there sweeping off the court right now, I'm sure.
There, you were sweeping off the front doorstep of our hotel this morning with no electricity, trying to get all of the pine needles away. Beautiful hotel, but boy, did it look rough this morning.
I'll tell you one, that shaving in the dark is a trick I don't want to try again.
All we needed was a log cabin and a book or two, and I felt like Abraham Lincoln.
But however, I felt like what we went through yesterday, shaving in the dark was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Vinny Testaverde to Irvin, a 16-yard scoring pass. Miami going 60 yards in 8 plays. And it took them 3:08 to do it. They are in control now. So Vinny T with 12 for 23. He's got a couple of touchdown passes, and here's the last one.
Take a look. We talked about how Pelagata got turned around. Irvin goes to the corner, breaks it back the other way, and look at this. Pelagata can't even see the toss now. It's already in the air. Irvin's able to break inside, and unfortunately for Pelagata, the cardinal rule was broken, and that is never turn your back to the quarterback.
Oh, how sweet revenge for Miami. Hi, Coach who?
Well, that one's going nowhere.
And that'll bring it back to the 20-yard line. So a very loose Miami team. And Mark Seelig, who is the kicker, and there is a resumption of the scoring play that we just gave you. $16 yards, so Testaverde has had himself a good day. All right, 5:51 to play. They may even let him carry that beak on the plane with him on the way home.
Well, he's wearing Kevin Fagan's jersey, number 95, not nearly as big as Kevin.
Sean Halloran in Boston College, and they swing it underneath to Gieselman. And the tight end doing what all good scouts love to see, grabbing that ball and hanging on with 2 hands as the pressure came to him in a hurry. George Myra. And a quick no-huddle situation. I'm sure BC's got a sequence with a 2nd and 2. Play action pass. And again, throwing to Gieselman, but this time short. Myra is right there. Number 19 is also there. That is Darrell Clinton. And now we have a flag thrown on the play. Gieselman got a little upset at something, and I'm not sure what. Now let's see who the call goes against. Pitt, South Carolina next week.
Gieselman saying a few words that were not very nice. The ball hits the ground. Gieselman got up very angry at the referee.
Fullington and Myra are there, and that's what spurred it, but I'm still not quite sure on what the call is, and we'll get it right here from the referee after he marches it off. It is going to go against Boston College. Boston College has had 7 penalties, 55 yards. And they walk it back, and this is a biggie.
Well, it should be unsportsmanlike conduct.
I think that's what it is. If the indication is what he gave us.
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against the offense. 2nd down.
There it is. And the ball now is the ball should be spotted at the 15-yard line, shouldn't it? Where did it start? Oh, it should be a little. There's a little confusion down on the field.
And a 6-yard penalty has been.
Okay, now it's a 3rd and 17 at the 13. And Tracy Giles is not able to get to the pass by Sean Halloran. And now the clock stops with 5:21. And what kind of rabbits does Jack Bicknell to pull out of the helmet now? Where does he have that helmet? And here's Jimmy Johnson saying, come on, boys. Get the specialty team in there. As Boston College and Steve Peach, boy, he has had a lot of work today. This will be the 7th, 8th punt. And this is not a good one. His last 3 have been bad. And Miami will let it roll dead at the 46-yard line. So Peach, after a good start, ends up chilly on this sunny afternoon at Sullivan Stadium.
Big difference when you've got 25-mile-an-hour sustained wind at your back or you're kicking into one.
Now, big difference is about 10 yards for Peach. That was a 32-yard punt. 32-yard punt. 1st and 10, ball at about the 46-yard line. J.C. Penney. And he fumbled the football and unable to hold onto the ball before it goes out of bounds.
Come on, J.C., baby!
So Miami retains possession.
Was Seeley. And Miami will hang on to the football. Keith Seeley, a senior, is in there for Boston College right now. J.C. Penney doing a little wholesale shopping there, and he ended up losing the football. And now the ball is at the 28-yard line. 1st and 10.
And Jeff Toretta in there for Miami, quarterback, making that pass.
Toretta's 6'2", 220, a junior. He's a transfer from Cal Berkeley. And he has 1 pass completion before today, 1 out of 2, and that was an 80-yard touchdown pass to David Kintai. So kind of a
That's why he led the nation in quarterback rating.
Auspicious start for the young transfer. And they've made some changes now. They've got Todd Stanish in there, and he gets the call right here. And Stanish with a little bump by John Galvin as he gets inside the 25-yard line, no more.
A little bump, face mask to face mask.
That's
you
a
hear it
little
up
bump.
here?
Yeah, a little bump. Yeah, a little bump, big bump. There's Galvin. Stanish from Alliance, Ohio, getting a chance to play, and he'll play 2 positions. Galvin is a junior linebacker from Lowell, Mass, not too far away. 3rd down and 7, ball on the 25. They are 5 for 11 on 3rd down conversion. Toretta. Intercepted by Boston College. That's Seeley to the 20. Flag thrown out to the 37-yard line, but a flag has been thrown at the 15. David Kintai was the man who made the, let's see, was the intended receiver.
Seeley's number 10 backs up. He's reading quarterback eyes. He knows he can't throw back to the far side. Uses good speed to come over. Picks up a few blockers. And finally, as he cuts back to the far side, is tackled by Kintai.
Fred Perriman was the intended receiver on that particular pass. 31-10 with 4:12 to play.
Clipping after the interception on the return. 1st down, Boston College.
Boston College taking over as Miami has committed their 4th turnover. Unfortunately for Boston College, they've not been able to take advantage. Lots of penalties in this game. We have 15 total. Sean Halloran. He's got Mahalik and Tracy Giles, his running back tandem.
Wounded duck.
And it is intercepted. Pass was intended for Giaquino, and it's stolen away by Darrell Fullington. And Fullington now saying, hey, I've repaid all the misery I've had since I saw Gerard Phelan look up and catch that ball in Miami last November.
Remember, he was also the player over which Maryland was able to score their big touchdown when he tipped the ball.
Right.
So he had 2 bad experiences last year.
Yeah, we had that Maryland game, that great comeback by Maryland to defeat Miami on USA last year. Toretta again has his man at the 33-yard line. David Kintai is the receiver. And Miami's been able to do all of this against the BC Eagles of Bicknell without getting a pass to the big man, Willie Smith. Barry Gallup, the head assistant over there, working with Jack Bicknell on the sidelines. Clock ticking now down to 3:53, and the injured Boston College defense is trying to hang in. Steve Staffier, who is from local Winthrop, Mass, has come in the ball game. Toretta on a run. Toretta is pulled down by Mike Ruth, the Heisman or the Outland candidate.
For Toretta, very important to be getting this experience. One of the weaknesses for Miami is certainly not their quarterback, Vinny Testaverde, but it's in quarterback depth. As here we've got to look at Mike Ruth, and you see the extension of the arms and the pass blocking we've spoken about, and how important you can make it now, being able to use your hands as an offensive lineman.
Stanish and Staffier are the running backs. That's Staffier. He was not on the club for disciplinary reasons here the last week for missing a practice, but the young sophomore is in there now. That's Vinny Testaverde's roommate, incidentally. And now Andy Hemmer is calling for a timeout, finally gets the officials to give him one. So Boston College has perhaps run out of miracles for this one. And maybe we should say thank you for the miracle that we were given to just be able to play this game here today. Hurricane Gloria yesterday. It looked a little ominous this morning. And now under sun-kissed skies, kind of Miami weather with a little tinge of fall in the air. Miami is going to take and hang on to a 31-10 lead over the Eagles with 2:55 to play. Well, if you want a little comedy, you want a little conversation, how about Dick Cavett? And USA's got him too. You can join USA this Monday night for the season premiere of the all-new Dick Cavett Show. We'll have Joan Rivers as a special guest, so there may be a few grins too. Monday at 8, right here.
Tell you what, all the fans here ought to tune into that, because they're not going to go home to too much comedy as they leave the electricity of college football. They're going to go home to no electricity, no power in most homes in this area. I want to remind you again, next week, going to Pitt Stadium as the Pitt Panthers host South Carolina.
I want to thank my statistician today, Ken Serino, for a terrific job, and as usual, John Kane and Ed LaPrade, my spotters, who were with us a couple weeks ago, who have been good again. And it's good to see these young folks.
Hey, they had a job getting here today, too.
Yeah, they sure did. 31-10's what we have. Toretta, the quarterback. And he finds his man, and they're going to score again. Brett Perriman. He's going to do his thing now as he dances and waltzes and high fives and jives and has a good time. And they now lead Boston College commandingly.
It's got to help Toretta's confidence. He comes over. His first touchdown pass is a hurricane. Drop back. Toretta, number 13, in the pocket. Steps up. A pretty nifty move here as a little bit of help. Eiton is beaten initially, and Brett Perriman able to loop into the end zone.
This guy's 3 for 5 for the year. Toretta and 2 touchdown passes. His ratings are not going to dip any, are they? Perriman in. Greg Cox to kick. 37-10, Miami. And what they have done is nothing more than take the little boy out to the woodshed and put a little smack or two on the behind. It's 38-10, Miami over BC from Foxborough.
We're not a company, but no company has more pride in what they do, or more pride in how well they do it. We offer you a meaningful and fulfilling future, one that goes far beyond the ordinary, one that brings with it the respect and admiration of Americans everywhere. We're not a company, we're your country. We're the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, the Navy. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. The technology behind it gives this driver engine protection he can depend on. And this driver. And this driver. And this driver. Mobil synthetic oil technology. There's no finer engine protection on Earth or anywhere else.
It's 38-10, Miami with 2:46, and kicking off is Seeley. And again, he booms a big one. And Miami will set up defensively with Boston College taking over at the 20-yard line. There's Brett Perriman He took a 30-yard pass from Jeff Toretta to score, and now Miami with the big lead, 38-10. Yeah, they're heading back to Miami, and if Shakespeare were here, he would wax poetically about how sweet revenge.
Isn't it too bad we don't have players with those names anymore to talk about? Fast Eddie, Downtown Brown.
But I'm talking about the real Shakespeare.
I was talking about Stanley Shakespeare, the wide receiver last year.
Joe Giaquinto was the man they were trying to go to there, and some pretty good coverage. One of the question marks that Miami has had thrown at them all year is, would this young secondary hold up? Well, they've seemingly, after a rough start, Halloran threaded them pretty good, 11 for 11 at one time, and then a complete turnaround where he went 1 for his next 11. And the young secondary has grown a little bit here today for the Miami Kings. Halloran again, and trying to go to the near side, and there was a big collision. Tyrone Taylor and Darrell Fullington, and some popping there.
Good defensive play by Tyrone Taylor, the tailback, or erstwhile tailback for Boston College.
Halloran, incidentally, 22 of 46, unofficially 238 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And there she be. Those are the numbers for Sean, who has had a lot to live down this year. 3rd down and 10. 2:31 to play. Bill Hawkins is in there. Screaming Bill Hawkins. Along with some other folks who have come in off the bench for Miami. Parrish, a defensive tackle. That's Ernie Parrish, who is 243 pounds, and now with a 4th down and 10, Steve Peach will kick for the 9th time. And under a pretty good rush, fair catch is called for short the 40-yard line.
I don't remember when Boston College has scored this few points. I know they didn't score this few last year, and certainly this year they haven't given up, so it must be back somewhere in the '83 season since they last were held to around 10 points. Another score from around the country.
Georgia over South Carolina, and the 3rd. Michigan is up their lead 3 more, 20-0 over Maryland in the 3rd. Toretta, Penny, and Stanish in the backfield now for Miami. That's JC. Pittsburgh in West Virginia. Oh, is that a good one? And it's in the 4th quarter. And next week we'll be in Pitt. I want to thank Carl Schmidt, the SID for Miami, for his help. Penn State over Rutgers, 10-3. I know that athletic director Sam Jankovic has got to be pleased with the way Jimmy Johnson's team has hung in there today. 38-10 with 1:26. Give it to Stanish. David Nugent was there.
Talk about Jankovic, Eddie, and one of the reasons that Jimmy Johnson went to Miami from a very good program at Oklahoma State to leave that kind of success was that he felt like Miami would give him not only the dollars but also the commitment from the administration to really build a dominant school in college football, and apparently they've done that. Jankovic only having been there a couple years, coming in from the great Northwest.
54 seconds to play. Miami 38-10 a leader. Jeff Toretta. And throwing underneath this time to the tight end. And that would be one of 3 pretty good tight ends they have here, Alfredo Roberts. There are times when Miami will use 3 tight ends, but they haven't done that today with Willie Smith, Charles Henry, and Alfredo Roberts. But now Toretta would like to get another play away here to see what he can do.
Boston College isn't going to help. They have 1 timeout left, but they're not going to call it.
22 seconds.
Back in.
20 seconds. 38-10. Give it a Penny. He may have 6. As he stepped out of the tackle that time of Carl Creshpain. A 51-yard attempt, or a Penny with 51 yards. He gets 31 on that one. 31 yards on this run.
A lot of BC players up. Derek McPherson misses the tackle. He was the cornerback. And J.C. Penney shows tremendous speed. Of course, it's pretty easy when there's nobody back there to beat you to the end zone.
Now I know why Jack Bicknell and his assistant said, I like the people, the substitutes they have on the sidelines over there.
Remember, this is payback for last year, the emotional trauma that the Hurricanes went through.
And Cox is in. This time it's Seelig that they bring in to add the extra point. So Mark Seelig getting a chance to do some extra point kicking, and he does. And Miami with a tremendous lead now, 45-10 with 10 seconds to play. And they have not held back the horses here in the second half. College Football 85 was brought to you by Mobil 1 Synthetic Motor Oil. Mobil 1 protects your engine better than any conventional motor oil. By the U.S. Armed Forces, it's a great place to start. By Amiga, the first professional computer to give you a creative edge, by Commodore. And by Jeep Cherokee, the four-wheel drive vehicle that's all Jeep, body and soul. Miami's put their body and soul into this one. And we'd like to remind you that sports coats provided by Tailored Classics from Levi Strauss and Company. 45-10 is the score with 10 seconds. A 31-yard run by J.C. Penney as Miami goes 40 yards in 4 plays, and it took 1:48. My, oh my. Well, that means the series will go 9-3 in favor of Miami as Boston College will run it back out to the 30-yard line. Peter Casparillo tied in, and a thinned Boston College team. They've had a lot of injuries, and that was compounded today by the loss of Jim Bell, who was backing up Troy Stratford, who's not played in 3 weeks now. Has not enhanced their chances any. Jack Bicknell, their center, and Jimmy Johnson will take his group back to Miami with a wind at his back and Gloria gone forever. 45-10. Boston College will run it out. Tyrone Taylor. And that ought to do it. It's all over. Boston College has been repaid by Miami for the miracle finish last year. Miami had a little thunder and lightning of their own today, and they had not run out of favors, as we had indicated might be the case before this one today. Final score, Miami 45, Boston College 10.